out at the Field of Honor, and we have everybody from Team CTS here. Sherry, AJ, Tommy, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, nice to see you all last night at the open house. Thank you for coming out and visiting with us.
Absolutely, that was a good time.
Yeah, it was.
And so before we get into some more serious topics, including this stolen identity story, holy moly, man, I can't wait to hear about this. Let's talk a little bit about the Queen. It's been the big news, and one thing we learned is that so far as we can tell, Queen Elizabeth is the first head of state to send an email. This is all the way back in 1976. When it was still the sort of ARPA-DARPA-net thing where, it was just the Defense Department here in the UK and some college professors in California were sending messages around. So she heads out to the, it's essentially intelligence center for the military, gets her name, her email address. They didn't have ats then. It was just the name. It was QE. It was, HME2, Her Majesty Elizabeth II. And the message she sent out was, let's see if I have it here. Yes. Hello, my fellow subjects. It is I, your queen. Have a wonderful day. Toodaloo. That could just be one of our listeners speculating that. Is what that might be. But that's we don't even think about email going all the way back to 1976.
You don't. I didn't know that. What was it? Al Gore invented the internet by then.
Yeah, well, that's we had somebody talking about that too, and that's I have to say that's one of those things when you try to take too much credit for something you did have a role in as far as the funding of it,
right?
And you just want to brag on it, and then it just comes back and just bites you and just like,
Right. There's always that person, that's part of the group when you turn in the assignment at school that doesn't do anything but takes all the credit. But I'm not going to get into politics, but I think that's what happened.
He essentially voted to spend money on the internet.
Right.
And
right.
that's basically what he did. And
right.
so that was what turned into I invented the internet sort of stuff. Well, we didn't actually technically say it that way.
But still, the queen, think about it. I'm 45, right? So my entire life, she's been queen.
Oh, that's true for, most of the people in the world.
Right.
That's one thing. We'll never have anything like this in America because we're never going to have a head of state, even though she's not really the head of the government. But, it's going to be in there for 70 years. And I don't think there's any chance that the country would love anybody that we had if they had it for 70 years as much as the British love the Queen.
Right, but I still think the Queen had it together better than our top leadership.
The Queen has done all right for herself.
Right.
Yeah, the Windsor family they do okay. The Queen is probably still the richest woman in the world, unless it is now. It could be actually, Mrs. Bezos probably has gone past her since she got like half of his cash.
Right.
So yeah, Queen maybe dropped down a notch or two there.
I heard she's spending a lot of time giving it away.
That is my understanding that she is quite the philanthropist. And hey,
that's
it's hers
great.
now. That's
all about the capitalism. It's paying off, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All those days out in the garage packing books into boxes has paid off for them. All right, well let's talk about this story you were telling about before we went on the air, and this stolen identity.
So
just lay this out for us here.
So it's October.
Yeah.
It is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so I think it's important to have that. But I actually talked to this guy. He's here local in Lynchburg, has a business here. And I'm not going to say his name without his permission, but he went on to a particular popular website, entered all his information to order whatever he was doing. What he didn't realize is that website had been compromised. Not his computer, not his email, not anything else, just they had been compromised. He input everything. And he said shortly after that, he started to have issues with credit. And then the police pulled over a vehicle stop, somebody that has literally a printed ID, all his information, and 3 or 4 other people's information in California.
Oh, man.
So this was a few years ago. And within that time, they obviously knew that it wasn't him that was doing all this. 22 times they've actually opened credit lines as him that was not him that the FBI is investigating. But it's not like it's one person. There could be hundreds of people, thousands of people with this information out there doing it. So how do you chase that down? How do you prosecute somebody? And now this guy has to go through all kinds of hoops to do anything because of this stolen identity.
Yeah, so I guess the first question there is, because you answered my question, it wasn't his computer or anything, it was through the website. How do you protect yourself? If you're visiting, I'm not saying that it was Amazon or something like that, but a place where tons and tons of people go, I'm going to guess it's not a real niche website.
Right, so, The bigger ones, I think, are easier targets, right? Not because Target got hacked. That's a different thing. And even though it wasn't his computer, being smart, right? I like to use the term, having good hygiene on the internet, right? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Is it this important? And understanding that you do assume some risk when you do anything on the internet. But I can tell you the social engineering side is a big part of it. So let's say he inputted some information, but then they didn't have the rest of the information they needed, say his mother's maiden name, the school he went to, year he graduated, kids, whatever. So you just go to social media because now you have all this information about him. You go to Facebook and you look, oh, look, somebody wrote happy birthday, and oh, here's your school reunion or whatever. So then they gather this information, then they can go and start pretending to be you.
And 22 times, and so this end up on the dark net and just gets sold over and over?
Dark web. So,
dark web.
And then the other portion of that is once they have that information, they can send emails and other things to him, phishing attempts. He clicks on it. I don't know if that happened, but that's generally what it leads to. And then they start gathering more information on the computer. Once they put the droppers on the computer, basically it's just sitting there doing nothing. It's infected. They sell those on the dark web. It's about $25 for 1,000 droppers, potential droppers, some all day. Then you partner with it's software as a service with a ransomware company. They have their own ransomware software. So it's usually a 60-40 split. So you
just
take
off
that,
the shelf.
right? It's literally it's almost like a business. There's high-rise buildings, like I've said in other countries. That's all they do.
Yeah.
But literally, you go in and you say, all right, I've got these 1,000 droppers, 40-60 split. They send the ransomware out to all those, and let's say only 10% get hit. So you get 100 computers that are hit that ransomware, and let's just say 10% of those pay. Well, you get 40% of that. You only spent $25. That was it, and the ransomware company gets 60 of Bitcoin.
And and away you go.
Right, and then we're sitting here saying, hey, what are you doing on your phone to protect your passwords? Are you using encrypted VPNs to connect back to your work environment? Are you using two-factor? Password. There's so many things you can do to help reduce that level of risk. But yeah, people today still don't do it, and that's why number one crime is this identity theft.
All right, so AJ, let's talk about something else here. The LA school district.
Yeah.
Got hacked. We heard about this in the news. What exactly happened?
So there's not a whole lot out there, but from what I've found, basically they got hit with ransomware. Actually, a fairly large. I think it's like 3 different international groups. But they went after the school district, and my understanding is LA's got one of the biggest ones that got breached.
So LA Unified is the biggest one by population.
Yeah, it's pretty big. But basically ransomware, and I think Tommy maybe spoke about this before, but basically they get in, they lock up all your files, and basically they ask for money to get them back. Typically that comes into form of Bitcoin, so it's not traceable. But I don't know that I have read any articles recently, or maybe even at all, of a school district. That's pretty new to me, with a school district being hacked, but unclear of what all they ransomware, and as of right now, that's said they haven't paid anything. So
most municipalities don't have a budget for in-depth cybersecurity.
Right.
But then also the big push now. This is all over the place. Insurance companies are dropping policies, not renewing policies. Their questionnaires are getting much better, which we appreciate on helping customers understand what they need to do. But imagine a lot of companies, like large portion of them this year, are not getting renewed.
All right, so we've just got a couple of seconds left here. People want to know more about this, how to protect themselves, how to get you to protect them. What do they need to do?
TeamCTS.com. Check us out.
All right, very good. And Sherry, AJ, Tommy, thank you all very much for joining us. When we come back, Friday 5 here on WLNI. Man, I didn't think...